When most people think of you, they think of the Billboard guy.
You may have seen those Kris Lindahl billboards. Arms out wide, realtor Kris Lindahl.
Kris Lindahl.
Kris Lindahl is here.
What makes the billboard successful isn't actually the billboards, it's the messaging, it's the strategy, it's the implementation, it's understanding why people do what they do and meeting consumers where they're at. We ran a little bit of a test. 5 AI-generated pieces of copy, and we did 5 that were generated by me. The 5 that were generated by me outperformed the other one by like 1,000%. It takes a level of obsessiveness that most people aren't willing to go to. 25,000 views on an organic post is the equivalent of going to speak to a small stadium. And so if I said, hey, you're gonna go speak at a small stadium today, you wouldn't just show up and wing it.
When you think back on your early days, what drove you to be who you are?
It's 100% my upbringing. My dad, who was an alcoholic, it's, my dad getting murdered and run over when I was in high school. Lots of different things happened. I was always getting in, brawls and disagreements. And it's also in 8th grade when a coach came to me and said like, hey, you've got some gifts here that no one had ever told me before. I mean, it was a light switch. It's the same thing that I want for people that come in our organization, which is the belief.
So where did you go from being a real estate agent to being real estate empire and media mogul?
This is the part, by the way, that very few companies can figure out. This is the part where everyone gets stuck.
Before we get to the episode, will you please subscribe? And if you like it at the end, make sure you drop a like, and we'll make sure every time a new episode comes out, you get it first.
Kris Lindahl, welcome.
Thank you.
It's good
This
to
place
have
is
you.
amazing.
Thanks. It's good to have you.
Yes.
You've been through a lot. You've done huge things with your career, with your businesses. What is something people don't know about you?
Yeah, I think, I appreciate the question. It comes up so often. What people naturally think is real estate, right? That's
what I think.
Yeah, it's what I know. It's what everyone's first reaction is. But any time that you think of someone based on the industry they're in, you're likely missing a lot, right? Because to have the level of success that or the things that we've been through, you have to have seen a lot of things. You've had to have got a lot of things wrong. And also we've had some wins along the way. But I think the thing that people don't realize at this point is the level of experience we have as being entrepreneurs, right? And so like I can go to an event, a conference, a conversation, whatever it may be, and I likely can add value to most conversations, not because I'm some know-it-all. It's because I've likely been through a lot of the things that person or that organization is experiencing. And so earlier in my career, I made a lot of assumptions of what people knew and didn't know. And now that I'm in, more of the growth phase of where we're at today, it's amazing the things that we've learned along the way that I had zero experience. And quite honestly, I never even thought that I would see. Right. And so it's fun because, you start realizing that it's like when the wisdom is so much of the power. And, we're sort of the sweet spot of like kind of, in the middle of our careers. It's like talking to someone that's towards the end and like they just have so much wisdom, right? And I feel like we get the opportunity to learn a lot. And I think people make a lot of assumptions that I am a real estate guru. And I think more often than not, that's actually not even hardly the case. It's that at this point, I know a decent amount of business. And 10 years from now, when we're having our next our episode, I'll say 10 years from now, I'll probably the same thing, right? Like, wow, I had no idea where I was at before, what I didn't know. And so like, that's the beautiful thing about entrepreneurship is what we get to learn.
Yeah. I remember being in my 20s and thinking to myself, why do people that make so much more money, why does the world value experience? I don't have any experience, but I'm worth 150, 200 grand at least. And it's funny because the people that don't have experience are the ones that don't value it because they don't have it.
I know.
I should have said it the other way. The people who don't have experience don't value it because they have none.
That's right. That's right. It's like you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. So, okay. So when most people see you or think of you, they think of the Billboard guy, right? They're like, Kris Lindahl is the Billboard guy, and I see his billboards everywhere. how the heck did you get started putting up all these billboards everywhere?
Yeah. And I love that you brought that up, because I do think that's what people think, because I think that's what a lot a lot of people see.
That's
Whether
what everybody, by the way, in the whole state of Minnesota sees.
Right. And also, like in the other markets we've been in or online, and even some of the national campaigns that we've done that everyone has seen, that's what they think. And this is the illusion of business in general. Like a lot of times it's like our eyes and ears test. It's like what we see and hear are the assumptions that we make. And so what most people don't see and are unaware of are the 10 plus years of grinding before we were ever in a position where we could pay for one billboard, let alone thousands of them. Right. But now it's so interesting how so many people bring up billboards and bring up that conversation, but they have no idea all the things we did along the way that either worked really well, or were learning opportunities that we got completely wrong that led us closer to being able to do billboards. But, I think back and I'm like, very few people ask us about SEO that we've been doing for 20 years.
Yeah.
Right. Almost no one.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, no one asks about like, how did you become such a high level direct response copywriter? Or, how did you understand direct mail at such a high level? Or when did you learn to write radio ads that were able to meet people where they were at? Or how do your TV ads do this? People always say billboards, right? And so it's just interesting from a psychological standpoint of why or that we connect to that one thing. And so what naturally happens is that you'll have people around the country that will say like, hey, we want to go do billboards, but they didn't do the 10 years of work of learning and adapting and pivoting over and over and over again to get to the place to actually earn the right to do a bigger strategy like billboards. And so they do billboards and 3 months later they quit because it didn't work.
Because they're like, well, I'm just going to do some billboards.
That's it. And so what makes the billboard successful isn't actually the billboards. It's the messaging. It's the strategy. It's the implementation. It's the adapting. It's the pivoting. And so it's the same thing over and over again where so many people like see something and think that's got to be what it is, or that person had success because they're in this industry or that economy, or they got lucky here, and they don't realize all the behind the scenes thing. It reminds me of the Blockbuster Netflix story of the back and forth of where, Blockbuster was almost under, then they went back to the top, and where Netflix did the same thing. And this series of events went back and forth. And at one point, Blockbuster thought that some of the things that Netflix was doing was their secret sauce, and it wasn't. And ultimately it actually cost them the entire brand. And it's the same thing with this. So many people come in and think like, oh, it's the billboards, it's the billboards, it's the billboards. And they enter a world that they have no idea what they're even talking about, and they don't have the experience to even handle what any of that means.
So when you think about what you're saying is the general population recognizes you from thousands of billboards, but those are not the success. They don't create the success.
Yeah.
You're saying they're just a part of the recipe, right? And if you just went out and started copying your program, putting up billboards, and you've seen it happen, people try and do it, and it's just like massive failure.
It doesn't work because it's the experience that we have, and it's also our focus around attribution, right? So like it's understanding why people do what they do and meeting consumers where they're at. People ask me all the time about marketing. They say, hey, where's the best place to advertise or market? And my response is always the same. Every one of them works if you have the right message. There are people everywhere, right? Whether that's a Facebook ad, a TikTok ad, Instagram, Reels, stories, whatever, and you will find someone having success everywhere with it. But the reason it works is they meet their customer where they're at with the right message. And so the message more often than not is the problem, not the medium.
I remember when I first got to know you and we went on that trip to Chicago for the charity thing. And I remember coming down to breakfast and you had been sitting there writing for like 2 hours. And you were like, I got this copy, and you read it back to me. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's brilliant. Like, I want to call that number, right?
Yes.
So when you think about the writing, the ability to write good copy, I think today everybody leans so heavily on GPT already. Tell me about the value you've seen in being a good writer, because you are an incredible writer.
Yeah. I think, yeah, I remember that. That was funny. I was really excited about that, but I get excited about most things. Some of them work, some don't.
You were really jazzed up.
know,
and then you got me all excited. And I was like, shit, I need to start writing some copy.
So I think when I think about writing is like, I would not, it's interesting. Growing up, I would never describe myself as someone that even fits the writer profile. And in any assessments or anything that you would ever do, you wouldn't say like, hey, this is the type of person that is a writer. Like it's a 100% trained. Like I was not set up to be a writer at all. I'm super impatient. I'm really fast paced. Like slowing down and putting words on paper is really hard for me to do. But I know the impact that it makes on other people. I'll give you a prime example of what you just said. So with any of the AI, language models that are out there, whether it's internally your own or it's one of the bigger ones that others use, we ran a little bit of a test. And we did 5 AI generated pieces of copy, and we did 5 that were generated by me. The 5 that were generated by me outperformed the other one by like 1,000%. And it's not because I'm not saying that because I'm like some amazing writer. It's because I understand how to connect with people. And AI will never do that super well. Right? They like I'm talking to the level of like listening to every phone call that comes during the day and understanding exactly what the pain points are, whether that's a recruit wanting to join our company, whether that's a buyer, a seller, a vendor, whatever it may be. Like it takes a level of obsessiveness that most people aren't willing to go to. One example of this is we went to the Michael Jackson Broadway show in New York, and it was like, I mean, anything on Broadway is
great show.
Totally different level, right?
Yeah.
And when I went to this show, I was just like totally blown away by the person that was Michael Jackson. I mean, like beyond blown away. Like this is like a spitting image and like everything that I'd ever seen. Not that I'm not a huge music fan, and it wasn't like I wouldn't say like this is my dream to go to Broadway, but I appreciate like the level of obsessiveness and discipline and dedication that they put in. So what I found out is that they won a bunch of awards, and the Michael Jackson in the Broadway show was in character for it's either 2 or 3 years before the show started, full time. In character, full time for a couple of years. Lived this way. And you can see that when you go to the show. Right. And it's the same thing here where like I am absolutely 100% obsessed with understanding the journey of people and trying to figure out how can I positively impact them and help them get to where they're going. And that shows up in the work, but no one sees that. They just see words, right? They just see words and assume like, oh, I'm just going to go post this. Yeah. They don't see the work behind the scenes. It's like the runner that has the, historic, marathon record, right? And they broke the 4-minute mile, but they don't see the years of training underwater at elevation and all that stuff. They just see the time.
He must have good genetics.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. And so like in that entire thing, the reason why our copy worked is because we understand the people so well. And very few people are really in life are willing to take that level of dedication and discipline to go out and do that work. I mean, the easy button is just to go to GPT and throw something in there and say, hey, here are the pain points, here are the problems, write me this thing like this copywriter over here and spit it out so I can use it on wherever I want to use it.
So it sounds like what you're saying is having a high level of intuition is a major advantage. What I want to understand from you is, does everyone have the same level of intuition? Can intuition be learned?
Yeah. I mean, great point. Like intuition comes from trauma, right? And it comes from trauma in your childhood, and there's all different shapes or forms. I think one of the interesting things about what you just said right there is that there is not one way where these things happen. We're all very complicated individuals like that have all had different life lessons and upbringings and life experiences and the rest of it. But what's interesting about intuition is that there had to be trauma that happened in childhood to get to a higher level of intuition.
Really?
And so as I've had conversations with so many people along the way, I've noticed a lot of different types of ways that intuition has shown up. Special needs sibling. You see it show up all the time. I was actually in a conversation the other day with with a very, I think, a very talented human being that's earlier in his journey. And as he was telling me his story, like he has a nonverbal sibling. And he said, you know, I had to be the parent. I had to help out because my parents couldn't do all this alone. Alcoholic parents, I've seen it so many times where, hey, my alcoholic parent was going to show up at home and I wasn't sure, like, is it going to be safe? Are they going to beat me? Are they going to throw me in the corner? Are they going to right? I've seen all different shapes and forms of like how intuition is created.
Yeah.
And what stands out to me of all of that is that each person has their own version of trauma, right? And so like my trauma, like some people might say like, wow, like I can't believe all the things he's been through, but I don't feel like I've been through anything that bad, right? And so other people might say, hey, my trauma was so bad I can barely even function. And I think that's what's really interesting about trauma is that there's so many different layers and notches of different ways, and there's also different perspective. And there's some tragic things that have happened that, quite frankly, if they happen to me, I don't know that I could overcome either. Right. And so I feel fortunate that I had enough trauma to still be functional and still to be able to use it as a life lesson. But when I look back to, you know, the early days, when I was younger, I think there was a lot of anger and a lot of pent up demand around all of this. And I think what I learned as I got older is like, those were actually gifts. And so the reason why I share this is that we have a lot of young generations that are coming up in a world where there's this abundance of everything, right? You know, everyone gets a trophy, everyone gets acknowledgement, everyone gets praise. And there are very few people going through really challenging things in life, or less, that's my perception of it, less. And I think what you're seeing as a society, less intuitive people. Right. And so that doesn't mean that it's right or wrong.
Because we're shielding them from having the feelings and dealing with the
hard
shame.
stuff, the hard stuff. Like the things that, you know, and then often what happens is, as parents, we sort of overcorrect the things that helped us become as intuitive as we are. We stop doing those as parents for our kids because we're like, hey, we don't want to raise our kids the way we were raised. Right. And so then we just
my dad had the belt on me.
Right. And so we adjust our plan, and you look through history, and like you know, and sometimes you have someone that's like doubles down on their parents, goes, my parents did a great job, I'm going to do that exact same thing. But most of the time you have like, I'm going to do the opposite over here, because there's no perfect parenting playbook, right? And so we don't get it right. And there's a bunch of mistakes. I know I've made a ton of them.
They're going to blame you for their trauma anyways.
Right, that's right. But it is interesting. Like when you look at our society, like it does not feel the same.
No.
At all, right? It does not. It feels like there is an abundance and not nearly the struggle for most people that I think we went through.
Yeah, to me, it was interesting. I think maybe having siblings can help with that a little bit, because we have friends and it's like, you know, I don't know, should we just have one kid? And I'm like, please have more than one. There's nothing against only children. Like, it's not like they chose that, but I was on a bike ride with my kids the other day, and they're always bickering at each other. And for some reason it clicked in my mind. I was like, oh my gosh, when somebody's being weird or awkward, their sibling calls them out on it.
Yeah.
And that really helps them develop a sense of what's weird and not, what's awkward. And they use the word cringe. Dad, that's so cringe, you know, but it's so true. Like having siblings, and having siblings can be traumatic. Siblings are really hard on each other. But when you think about somebody that's out trying to write good copy, you know, and they're like, I just don't have that spark. How would somebody know if they have intuition or not? Like, I would imagine people that don't have it wouldn't know they don't have it.
Yeah. Well, you could do the easy thing, just go ask ChatGPT. No, I'm sort of kidding. But there's a bunch of assessments that you can. But I think when people start understanding what intuition actually means and how it's measured, I think people can start sort of self-evaluating if they have it or not, right? Like, it's like, hey, can you walk into rooms and detect that energy's off, or can you shift this or shift that, or you like feel like something's not quite right? And as you start going through the sort of checklist of like, hey, what are the things that what characteristics would I have if I had a higher level of intuition, right? And so like, you'll start to find out really quickly, like, do I see these things or not? And then I think then what I found too is that if you realize like, hey, maybe your intuition's a bit lower, that's okay. That's great. You're self-aware of who you are. then when you're in certain situations, you have to align yourself around people that are highly intuitive if that's the skill that you need in the moment that you're at. Right. And so I share all the time, like we have some people that are not as intuitive in our community. And so that's fine. But if you're in a meeting where we need someone to read the energy, read the room and understand what's going on, then someone else who's highly intuitive has to be there as well. Right. And so and someone that's highly intuitive, that doesn't mean that they are the end all be all greatest of all time. Right. There's definitely people that are highly intuitive that make a lot of misreads because of it too. Right. So it's not like they're 1,000 out of 1,000. Like they're going to have misreads or they're going to detect that something's wrong and they might not pick up on what it is. And they might
try something wrong.
They might, right. They might find they might think that they have the right issue and they might find out that they were totally wrong.
So something that I hear a lot is, and you just told me another example of it earlier, when people come to your office and they meet your people, there's something different about the people that you have. There's so many cliches around, it's all about our people. And some people just it don't get it.
Yeah.
What is it that you're doing so differently? Like, remember we were talking about the whole recipe isn't just the billboards.
Right.
Right. And it isn't just real estate. What is it about people that makes your businesses so different from everybody else out there?
Yeah, that's such a great question. There's so much to that. As you were framing that up, I went like a totally different direction for a second. I'm going to share first, then I'll come back to that. I was thinking about, as you were talking about that, I was actually thinking about the people that I get the opportunity to work with each and every day. And very specifically, there's a few people that are within the last 12 months that have joined our organization. Both of them joined from LinkedIn, from my personal post on LinkedIn.
So like your personal page.
Yes, just a post that I wrote. But back to earlier, when I said understanding where people are at and being obsessed with that journey is exactly why that post worked. Not because of the words, because I knew exactly who I was looking for. I have the experience of doing the role that I needed to hire, right? So I think that's one of the advantages of a founder of like, hey, I started at the bottom and I wore every hat along. I know what this role is. I know who this person is. I know what the pain points are, and I know what skill sets they need to have. And so when I did all that work up front, so that post that I wrote probably took me 2 or 3 hours to write. And it got 25,000 views or whatever it had, something like that. But 25,000 views on an organic post is the equivalent of going to speak to a small stadium. And so if I said, hey, you're going to go speak at a small stadium today, you wouldn't just show up and wing it. Yet on social media, people throw words or throw it in AI and just like throw things out, and they're speaking to thousands of people. And so as I think about one unique part of this, I know exactly who I'm looking for. So I'm crystal clear on that piece. So that helps a lot, but that's only a small piece of it, right? So I'm having conversations with more of the right people. I think they're able to look online, and everyone today is going to do the research on anyone, right? They're going to look online,
be on Glassdoor, and everything,
yeah. Right? They're going to research me. They're going to research everything. And I think, the reviews, obviously in today's world, I think people take that kind of with a grain of salt, knowing that like, hey, if someone was unhappy or it didn't work out, they're probably going to leave you a low review, right? I mean, they're not going to probably say something, especially if it's anonymous.
They're going to take the time.
That's it.
It's going to be negative.
That's it. So like what I found though, is like the really strong A players will actually reach out to people that are currently in the organization on their own. With no facilitation, with no guide from anyone that's, not me, not anyone else, not the hiring manager, not HR. They just simply reach out and they're already doing their own due diligence. And so, but that comes from finding the right people that actually want to do, I want someone to go do the work up front, to know that they're 100% in or 100% out. The last thing we want is to bring someone in and 3 weeks later, they're like, hey, this isn't what I thought it was.
Yeah.
Right. You want to be crystal clear.
Worst.
So that's like that as I was listening to you, that's like one initial piece, but then back to the bigger broad stroke of like, how do you get to like a place where you have great people? I think it starts with not hiring very well to begin with. Right. So where we started was not very good. Like 20 years ago, we were really poor at hiring. I hired I hired some friends from, that I grew up with, like, oh, you'd be great. Like, let's go. Like, right. And everyone was getting jobs and like, I need help. Like, let's go. Like I had no plan. And I thought I was the greatest hirer in the world and I was terrible. And I didn't know this for a long time. Like I thought that I had a gift for like, understanding people. What I realized is that I have a gift in I'm high vision, so I can see what people are capable of, but I can't see what they're willing to do. And so what I would often do is I'd bring someone in. I'm like, I know this person's got the talent to do it, but what they didn't have is the hard work. And so because I did not have a sophisticated hiring system, people would show up with high potential, low follow through. Right. And it was super frustrating for me.
How does this make sense?
Yes. And so it was so frustrating because I found myself at times wanting more for them than they wanted for themselves. And so it was so frustrating why I didn't understand how someone wouldn't want to get out of bed and wouldn't want to have the drive when they have all this talent. And so then I started on this path of getting to a place of an objective hiring process. So having a strategic plan that when someone comes in your world, from the moment that they send a message all the way through the entire journey, mapping the entire thing out, like what does that look like, right? And I'm not here today to say we've got it all figured out and it's just this perfect, amazing system. Like we have setbacks. We have setbacks every day. I'll give you an example. We have a player starting tomorrow. She sent me a message 2 hours ago and said, hey, what's the plan for tomorrow? Right? I immediately go like, we've got a problem. If she's sending me a message, she's excited. She doesn't care. Like she's fine. But I'm like, how does she not know what's happening tomorrow? And it's less than 24 hours from now. Right? But that's the level of obsessiveness I have with trying to get it right. She was fine. And it was, and I was laughing with another one of our leaders. I said, I thought we were going to get this onboarding experience right. And we kind of laughed about it. And we still have mishaps all the time. And it's, we can joke about it. But having that objective hiring base and then having high enough standards that you're willing to constantly improve and also being vulnerable to like, hey, we dropped the ball. We didn't get it right. And it's just an ongoing evolution. So you've got the objective-based hiring process, but then you also have the assessments piece of it, right? And so like most companies don't spend the time to use assessments to understand their current people or anyone in the future. And I'm not saying to use the assessments for hiring, but the assessments are designed to be used to learn more about a person you're having a conversation with, right? Because everyone has gifts, and we all have strengths, and we also have areas where it's maybe not something that we like love to do, that it doesn't bring us a lot of joy. And so like adding all of that in, what it does is it slows me down a little bit and it gives me new data points and new information that help me connect dots a little bit better than I did when I was just using my intuition or my gut. And so that is how someone can walk into our organization and go, wow, it feels different around here. What they don't see is the 15 plus years of getting to an objective-based hiring platform and to assessments and the rest of it. What they see is exactly what they experience with the people who are there. Like, this is noticeably different.
Yeah, just like
right?
the billboards. They're just seeing the final product. They're not seeing...
That's it.
Okay, so to shift gears, before the billboards and before all the success, when you think back on your early days and what drove you to be who you are, how did that start?
Yeah, it's 100% my upbringing, right? So it's all the challenges that I've been through my life. Like at an early age said, like, I got to take life into my own hands, right? And so at a young age, I was like,
what caused you to do that?
I mean, it's my dad who was an alcoholic. It's, my dad getting murdered and run over when I was in high school. Like it's the, multiple,
horrible things.
Yeah. Lots of different things happen. It's also having a coach in 8th grade. Like I showed up 2 weeks late to football. And I showed up and I didn't know anything about football. And he believed in me for the first time ever. Like, he's like, you're a really good athlete. You don't know what you're doing. We're going to put you in nose tackle because you have no idea how football even works. Right. And so I was at nose tackle, totally clueless, getting blown off the line by huge linemen. But within 6 months, I was the starting wide receiver. And within a few years, I was, one of the top in the state, like that fast. And it's the same thing that I want for people that come in our organization, which is the belief, right? I think too often, so many of us in life are just looking for someone to believe in us. Right. And so like at that moment in 8th grade, like I finally had someone that said, hey, you have something you're good at. Like, and if you do the work, like you're going to get better. And so like that moment changed for me of like, I want to be a teacher. I want to be a mentor. I want to be a coach, which is what drove me all the way through high school and then in graduating college to be a teacher. Like all my education degrees are like, I want to be a teacher. I want to be a coach. I want to be a mentor. Like all of that happened from that moment in 8th grade when a coach came to me and said like, hey, you've got some gifts here that no one had ever told me before, right? And it gave me a different level of confidence to drive towards. And I think that's when, as you start getting confidence, you have to overcome a lot of tough things in life, and you start to take control of your own life. And like, this is why, like, in our core values, like owning it is our last core value, one of the most important ones for me, because I can't understand someone that doesn't want to take full responsibility for their life and their actions, right? And so, like, to me, that's how a lot of this came to be, is like, hey, I am fully responsible for everything that I do in life. I'm not expecting anyone to give me anything. I'm not expecting anyone to give me the answers to solve the problems for me. Like, I own my outcome, and I take full responsibility, whether this is good or bad, or I fall short. Like, I am going to tell you, like, hey, I did drop the ball here, and here's why, and here's what I'm going to do about it. And I've always lived my life that way because I had to take responsibility for my life at an early age. Otherwise, like, I could have went down the wrong path, like, several different times.
Yeah. So when that coach believed in you, what did that do for you?
I mean, it was a light switch. I mean, I was like, it changed the entire trajectory of my life so fast. I mean, early on, like, I wanted to fight all the time. Like, I think a lot of kids do anyways, but I mean, I was angry. Like, I wanted to fight. Like, I was like, I just was so competitive and, like, didn't know what to do with the energy. And so, like, I was always getting in, brawls and disagreements and everything else. And then as I started to build a better relationship with that coach, like, I started to realize, like, there were more strategic ways to disagree or to debate rather than just swinging at each other in the locker room.
Is he still alive today?
Yeah, he's alive. Yeah.
Are you in touch with him?
Oh yeah. He still does. We hire him. He's an attorney as well. So we hire him for some work, and I see him all the time. He still coaches. So I support their sporting organizations all the time. We help buy helmets for the team, and he knows he can reach out to me anytime. And if there's anything I can do to give that gift to other kids that maybe are in a place that I was.
So it took an attorney to get you to pay attention.
Yes.
That's so great.
That's it.
Oh man, what a good story.
Yeah, that's cool.
So I just want to shift gears and ask some funny questions.
Yes, yeah.
What are some of the funniest rumors that you've heard people start about you?
Well, there's
like, this is going to be so good.
There's, what's so funny about it is how long, I think what makes it even funnier is how long the rumors have lasted, right? So a lot of the rumors are time sensitive statements, but they're evergreen, everlasting rumors. So it's like we're stuck in time and we never leave.
Yeah.
So, one of them is my ex-wife. Like, hey, he bought all the billboards to hide the money because he was going through divorce. This has been said, by the way, for at least 11 years now.
And you and her are friends.
We're great friends.
Yeah.
Like, and we co-parent. It's incredible. Like, it's amazing. It's truly amazing. But
so that you used it to bury the money.
That's it. And I often ask, like, what the dots that don't connect for me is like, hey, if you were trying to hide something, why would you go buy billboards? Like, I can't think of anything more visible than billboards.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
Okay.
So that's one that comes up all the time. And some other ones are, he's going to go to prison. He's going to go to jail. He's a con man. They'll associate me with different types of people that have gotten trouble over time.
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of that. I heard he did this. I heard he said this.
I mean, people make YouTube videos about you.
Oh yeah, all the time. Yeah, in Reddit and Twitter and X now and everything else. And
when you're out and about, how often do you get stopped? Like, hey man.
All the time. So, like, I think there's it's interesting you asked that because there's a lot of different things that happen. Obviously, locally, all the time. And then I think nationally in the real estate industry, I think a lot of people look up to what we've done. And then entrepreneurs, right? That have seen, like, the pace that we've been able to create the brand and the things that have come along with that. Most entrepreneurs are generally very curious about, like, how did you do this? And how did you do it so quickly? And then kids, right? Kids don't have the bias that adults do. Right. So they're not stuck in their ways about who they should use for real estate or who they should support for business. Like, they're more pure. Right. And so they grew up in a TikTok, YouTube, right, on demand, educational journey. And so they have a high level of respect. It's why I get invited so often to speak at high schools and colleges. And, we get lots of college students that want posters and billboards and gear to put in their dorm. And it's super fun.
Okay, so I want to get into talking about some of the, like, big things you've done different in real estate. But before we get into that, is it true that you did a partnership with Call of Duty?
It is. Yes. Yes. Yeah. It's crazy. I remember when the CMO of Activision called. This is funny. I'll tell this story really quick. So the CMO of Activision, which is an amazing human, like, I mean, it's super smart, great person, reached out to our company. At the time, when they originally reached out and it appeared to be a scam. So our team flagged it as like, this is just some scam, because we get these calls all day, every day. And so no one does anything with it, right? So they go, this is some sort of scam. They want Kris to be in a video game, right? And so like, it just sounds very far-fetched, like type thing. So no one does anything. 3 weeks later, I get a message again from our team that says, no, this guy wants to talk to you. He is the CMO of Activision, and he wants to talk to you about, licensing your marks and doing a collaboration to launch Black Ops 6, Call of Duty. Now it's got my attention, right? Now it's got,
You're like, I'm sorry, what?
Yes, now it's got my attention, right? So I get this message. I did not get the first message. My marketing director, which she did great. I mean, normally we screen that stuff out really well. So I call him, and I'm actually, that happened to be, it was I was headed back from fishing with a friend of mine, and I called him, and it was just amazing that their team, actually, the credit, really a lot of it goes to their team, truly, that they had a strategy to reverse engineer, and they're owned by Microsoft, right? It's an international company, that they had a strategy to reverse engineer influencers in markets to create what I've never seen before, which is like a local icon takeover, to piggyback off the name that is known by everyone in a market and create a collaboration, rather than to go into the market and try to launch the game on their own. It's such a brilliant strategy that I've never seen, like, an international company find.
I've never seen it.
No, never, not one time.
Brilliant idea.
Which shows you the level of sophistication that they have to think that way. And so they licensed our trademarks. And I remember when they launched the game, they had the Replacer character on all of our billboards and on our TV. We ran the TV in like all the NFL, NCAA, all the football games. It was everywhere. And I remember looking at the charts, because they have a report that they track, like the different markets. And we're talking globally. Like, this is I think it was the biggest video game launch to my knowledge in history. In history. Like, I'm not saying our brand is the reason for all of that, but it was the biggest launch ever. But Minneapolis and St. Paul, where's the big place where we did the biggest launch, was number 10. Was number 10
globally.
When this was all, yes, globally, number 10 when it was all going on. Because they took a brand that's got, tens of millions of impressions, and most people are really aware of who we are, and created a partnership and licensed the marks to do that. It's unheard of. And so, from like entrepreneurship, especially like for us, like in a B2C world, that's the kind of like holy grail of the whole thing, right? When you have an international company, Microsoft, that licensed your trademarks that you started like bootstrap with nothing like 20 years ago, it does not get any bigger than that.
I remember I was driving somewhere, and I looked up, and I was like, that isn't Kris. And it was the Call of Duty guy doing this. And I was like, what the hell? And then I was like, wait, did they do this without his permission? And then I text you.
Which
I
is
was
what
like,
everyone thought.
I was like, dude, what the heck? And then you were like, haha, let me tell you the story. And I was like, oh my gosh, what a brilliant idea.
I know. It was amazing. It's so funny that so many people went to, there's a problem here. They ripped off Kris. Like so it's funny how many people in the comment section are like, oh, this is going to be a huge lawsuit. There's all kinds of, it's Microsoft, like, and they didn't realize like there was a strategic partnership where they licensed our marks. But what it did, I think it did a lot of things. I think it's inspired a lot of entrepreneurs around the world of like what's possible, right? And so like the days of like this barrier of like, hey, these really large international companies are disconnected from local entrepreneurs is no more. Like, I mean, we're so interconnected through social media and through all these other things that anything's possible now.
Absolutely wild.
Yeah.
I mean, just a wild story. It's something that they've never done before.
Never. No.
Okay, so I want to talk about, when we talk about the national scope, right? And you were saying, people have tried to copy your formula, but they're only taking one little snapshot or one piece, or I'm just going to do the billboards or whatever. When you think about like the things that you've done differently in real estate, help me understand why what you do is so different. What is different about how you operate?
Yeah, I think it's, one big piece to this entire thing is my crystal clear ability to understand who I am. and where my strengths are and where my shortcomings are. Right. And so one thing that is one of my genius is like understanding what is happening and how to engineer it to be better. Right. So I'll give you an example, like guaranteed cash offer. Like when we created that, the reason why I created that is because I sat at the kitchen table with thousands and thousands of homeowners, and I understood exactly what the pain points are that most people go through when they consider selling their house. It is so stressful. Right? When you look at any of the surveys, it's one of the top 5 things, maybe the top 3. It's like death, divorce, and selling a house.
Yeah.
It's like, why does selling a house have to be at the top of the most stressful things that we ever do? It is stressful.
Yeah.
Right? And so hearing these certain things over and over and over again, I realized there needs to be a better way. And so I started to study the way that other products and things were sold. And what I realized is that most people trade their car in. Right? Some people know that maybe they'll get slightly more if they go on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist or put a sign in in front of the car on a busy road. But they also know the risk and the inconvenience that comes with that. I've got to meet unqualified buyers. They might not show up. I might not feel safe. They might know where I live. Like they might not have the money. They might back out. We know inherently all of the risks that goes with selling a car, which is why we go and just trade it in and go, give me the new car and let me drive off the lot. I don't want any more brain damage.
Just make it all work.
That's it.
Yeah.
And so what's happening is you have this growing trend now of people that are saying yes to the guaranteed cash offer. Not because I created a new crazy marketing strategy, because I sat at the table with thousands of people and I knew what the pain points were and I knew that it was super painful.
So you were like,
right?
This is just so hard. Let's just solve this problem.
That's it. And yeah, that's a big piece of it. And now, this is what, not everything that we do, you, I, anyone else, is all by design. There is some luck involved too, right? And some of the luck in launching that program, the economy is shaky. The housing industry is super shaky. Rates are really high, right? And what's happening now, and most people don't know this, is the market is getting really soft fast, right? And so anyone that needs to sell quickly and needs to move on, they have some life-changing event and they need to get to this fresh start, the open market is rejecting thousands and thousands of homes. It's not working anymore, right? The old way of like, take the photos, do the open house, and consumers are just going to drive around neighborhoods on the weekends and just find places to pop in and out. We're in a world of speed. We're like, we want to click a button, things happen. And so the world is changing and it's going at a way quicker pace. And more homeowners that take the old school approach are being rejected by the open market because they're following the old real estate agent strategy that's been done for 40 years. It's not working the same. And so the luck for us is like, that's not working anymore. The market is getting shaky and we have the program to help homeowners move fast.
So what is guaranteed? I mean, before you launched it and you were explaining it to me, I was like, first of all, that's genius, but you had to explain it to me. So
yes.
What the hell is guaranteed cash offer?
So when someone needs to sell fast, we show up at their house and we give them a check, right? We literally give them a check and the number we give them is what they can close and they can close in a few days, right? So whatever, they can leave all their stuff behind.
So all of the tough stuff, you just show up and you're like, here you go, here's the offer, you want it, and you go.
That's it. It's just like trading
Like they can literally leave their stuff.
Everything. Yep. You pull into the car lot, right? The same way trading a car. You pull in the car lot, you don't leave with the car. Whatever conditions it's in, the dealership is either going to give you a check or they're going to offset it.
So they don't have to clean the house, nothing.
Zero, nothing. And they can move fast. And this is, by the way, this is all done in-house with our funds. Like we have no outside investors, no outside companies, no partnerships. This is us. Like we provide that. Like I think there's a lot of confusion. Like where's the money coming from? How is this working? Is he partnered with this? Like this is all done by our brand.
So what do you say when people are like, okay, that's great, but you're not giving me what the house is worth?
Which is a very common thing. I would tell you that there's a really big effect known in the world that I would say a lot of homeowners aren't aware of, and it's called the endowment effect. The endowment effect, what it is that when you own something and that you've put your blood, sweat, tears, and just all this resource into, you believe it's worth more than it is. Right? And so we have in our best-selling book, Guaranteed Cash Offer, there's a phrase that I use in there that I saw often, which is IVS, inflated value syndrome. So where the Guaranteed Cash Offer program
it sounds like a medical condition.
That was by design. No, I'm not a doctor. But what I found along the way is that if you have an inflated sense of what something is worth, you're not going to have success on the open market, and you're not going to have success with a guaranteed cash offer.
It doesn't matter.
It does not matter. You are out of touch with
reality.
That's it. And there are a lot of people that have that, right? But what I found is that a lot of people that need to move quickly and are highly motivated, they're actually pretty realistic about what the value is. And so oftentimes when someone thinks like, I'm not going to get maximum dollar if I accept a guaranteed cash offer, the reason why someone would think that is if they have the endowment effect in IVS. If they believe that the value is so much higher than the market is actually showcasing, that's how you end up with a gigantic gap. And quite honestly, those are the people that it's really tough for us to help, right? If they're so out of touch with what their starting point and what the value really is, it's tough. If someone's very self-aware of what their property is worth, it is one of the easiest transactions ever, because they go, okay, like if my house is worth this and now I can sell it to you with a cash offer and I can close in 3 days, 2 days, 7 days, I can leave everything behind. And by the way, I don't have to pay closing costs. I don't have to pay real estate commissions. I don't have to negotiate with anyone. There's so much money already wrapped into if they went on the open market that they are saving by going with us. And so that's offset with getting your cash offer today. And then there's the question of, what is it worth? What is it worth to be able to walk away today and move on to the next chapter of your life and get rid of that feeling of stuck and the sleepless nights and the stress? Because a lot of people, when they make the decision to sell a house, it doesn't go on the market the next day. The decluttering starts, the remodeling projects start, the packing starts, the moving starts, and oftentimes most people don't have any experience doing any of this, by the way. So they're at Lowe's, Home Depot, Menards and watching HGTV trying to figure out what do they do next. So all that goes away with the guaranteed cash offer.
How did you come up with that?
Sitting at the kitchen table, listening to so many people go through the stress. I would go in and someone needed to sell fast and they couldn't because they needed to do so much work that the traditional process actually slowed them down substantially. And what it did is in a lot of cases, it overwhelmed people to the point where they ended up stuck in their house. Even though they knew deep down that they needed to get to a fresh start, they ended up so challenged that they couldn't move. And so what we want to do is just help more people get to where they're going. And I will tell you that one of the things that's becoming very interesting is that a lot of other real estate professionals are now calling us to get cash offers for their clients' houses, right? So this is one area that we did not expect to grow as much as it did.
That's interesting.
So it might be a marketing campaign in the future, which is like, hey, the guaranteed cash offer, it's the program that real estate agents approve. Right? Like, who knows? Maybe we'll do that at some point. But we're seeing a huge growth in the amount of real estate agents and how they're supporting that, which is making a huge difference.
Dude, that's wild. That's absolutely wild. Okay, so before you started out on your own, you were under Remax.
Couple brokerages. Yep.
What happened?
Yeah. I mean, I had a great experience at every brokerage I was at. I learned a lot, super fortunate of all my time at all those places. Actually, there's a lot of great leaders and people that I'm still really good friends with today. There's definitely all kinds of rumors of, I was let go, I was fired, I was kicked out, I lost my license, and every story you can think of. But that's, can be further from the truth. Like, we needed to declare our independence. Like, we needed to be independent. I did not want what we were doing. It was so innovative that I did not want to be connected to any other real estate brand, because what was happening, we were helping everyone else at these other real estate companies grow their brands, right? And people were calling different offices and they were never getting back to us. And it was not a great consumer experience either, because there was confusion in the market of like, hey, Kris is an agent at which office? And all those other, most of those real estate companies, most people don't know this, they're franchises. And each office is independently owned. And in a lot of cases, most of the money in those franchises siphoned out of the state where the real estate office is and sent to wherever the franchise headquarters is, right? And so most people don't know that, like, they're not actually supporting local, right? Most of that money, most of those things don't actually support anything locally. I'm not saying that like the local real estate agent doesn't do things for the community and things like that, because of course they do. But the majority of the dollars that a homeowner or that is investing in real estate commission, if it's a franchise, most of that money goes back to a different location.
So where did you go from being Kris Lindahl, a real estate agent, like the people you see out there that are walking around hustling, to being Kris Lindahl, the real estate empire and media mogul. Like, where did that transition start,
Yeah.
and how did you, like, what made you do that pivot?
Yes. So I love that you asked that. Now, the beautiful thing about asking or answering that question today is my answer is going to be very different because I can look back. I was actually that when I started, right? I didn't know that at the time, right? When I started in May of 2009, I was obsessed with trying to figure out how to become a marketer. I can't even exactly tell you why. I don't have like this like crazy moment where I was like, oh, I need to be a marketer because that's what I need to figure out. I just, every step that I took from when I started was more and more learning. I was very attracted to marketing and sales and PR and branding and like learning that. And so I just started taking steps to learn that and trying to figure out like, how do I self-generate business to bring into, at the time it was just me, bring into my business. And so over time, I just kept trying more and more things, but I loved the idea. I loved the ideas of coming up with things and then trying them and seeing if they worked. I also like really loved when it didn't work because I was so like, to me, like I've always been a student first. Like I was so intrigued with things that didn't work and why. Like, because a lot of times I started, I was like, this is amazing. This is going to work so well. And then it didn't. And I was like, why did that not work?
Yeah, you're like, ouch.
Like, why did that not work? I spent all this time and energy in this. I thought I had a clear winner and it bombed. Right. And so that's like, I learned more from the things that went wrong than I did from the things that went well.
Yeah.
Right. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs could probably share that same sentiment. But that's when I started like getting really curious about marketing and branding and getting really obsessed with it. And I think what makes me so unique is really the amount of at-bats, right? The hours, right? It's like anything. Like you want to become an expert in anything, you need at least 10,000 plus hours of doing anything, right? And so that's what I have. I just have so much time in the seat of trying things that didn't work, that didn't give myself the ability to pivot and do that. So I was on that path early on, but there were some breakthroughs along the way that I had that really helped me. One, clear, obvious, is the market went up pretty much from 2009, almost the entire way through I was doing this. So I was fortunate in the sense of like, if you're going to make costly mistakes and they're going to be expensive, it's really nice to do them when you have a tailwind. Like it makes it a lot easier than doing those when you had a headwind. If someone tried to replicate even remotely close to what we've built today, and they started right now, they'd be bankrupt in less than 12 months. There's no possible way that it can be created again that way. I rode arguably one of the biggest appreciation real estate climbs in history while this was happening. Values were going up, right? I mean, I started at the absolute bottom, not by design, by accident, right? And so I think there's some return on luck that happens too in this. But the marketing piece of this and the PR piece of this is actually the most critical components of the whole thing. And this is the part, by the way, that very few companies can figure out. Like this is the part where everyone gets stuck. And it's how Google has made so much money. People go buy Google ads and people go buy Facebook ads and they go to all these places and they just buy ads and they let another corporation be their marketing department. So they've outsourced their marketing, abilities if they have
they're
them.
like, I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Give me some leads. Give me some leads. And they get this huge dopamine rush of like, oh, I bought another lead. I got another lead. I got another lead. But what happens is you don't actually have independence, right? You're dependent on another brand. And guess what happens when you become dependent on another brand? Prices keep going up.
Well, yeah. And look at what GPT's done to Google search.
That's it.
I mean, it's wild.
Fast. And they changed that's such a fascinating lesson too, right? So when you look at Google, for example, like I think in the last year, it's really come out of how much Google had paid Apple to be the preferred search browser on devices,
on iPhone,
right? On devices. I mean, it's billions and billions and billions of dollars. What's fascinating is GPT beat them without doing that.
In no time.
In no time. This is the lesson. They did not go spend the money with Apple to be the preferred search. What they did is they created a better experience.
Yep.
And they beat them without spending the money, which is fascinating. That a company the size of Google got truly caught that off guard is fascinating. Right. And now they're playing catch up and spinning out of control. And who knows where it all lands in the end. I mean, Google's got a lot of smart people and I'm sure they'll find a way to get back some of it, but patterns are changing. I know from my own experience, like we have one of the most visited websites. There are a lot more AI visitors. We look at the analytics every day that are coming to our website that are not coming from Google anymore.
Really?
Yes. And it's growing quickly.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even use Google to search stuff. I use GPT because I know it's going to give me a better answer.
Right. So many people are saying that.
And I'm not going to be chalked up with ads and crap I don't want.
It's just a cluttered experience, right? So like that's the problem with Google. It's like there's more information probably on Google than there is most other places, but it's the times that you'd have to spend to get there, which is what I shared earlier about the guaranteed cash offer, which is we are in a society where we want to click a button and something to happen.
Yeah.
I don't want to click 17 pages on Google to figure something out. I want to click one button, give me the answer so that I can move on.
Right.
And so like our attention spans, and you look at anything that's going on in the world, are decreasing to the point where like we almost can't pay attention to anything.
Yeah.
And so we want things so fast and we want convenience, and we're willing to pay $50 for a cheeseburger from DoorDash or pay, way more to Instacart to do something in exchange for convenience and the savings of time.
Yeah.
It's changing. I mean, the world is
time
totally
and headaches.
Different. It is.
Get rid of it.
And the more experience that we have in doing something, the more we value not having to go waste the time and the energy and the headaches.
Okay, so I would like to ask you, and you get asked all the time, how many billboards does Kris Lindahl have up?
I've lost track a long time ago.
Give me a guess.
Like we're got to be close to 4 figures. Like 1,000 plus,
like over 10,000, over 1,000.
Yeah, we got to be approaching a crazy number. Like people ask me now, and I'm like, I want to say like this was a bad experiment that went wrong because I no longer have any idea what's going on.
Yeah,
like there's so many of them, and they're everywhere.
So who chooses what billboards and when and how much?
Our marketing director, does most of that at this point. Like we've built the plan, and she follows it, and we have a crazy sophisticated technology system that we built with heavy attribution and all kinds of analytical tools that we built in-house to understand traffic patterns and flows and consumer behavior. And so that's sort of our secret sauce.
Okay. So you were explaining something to me quite a while back now that I thought was fascinating. It was totally tied to why the marketing engine, the billboards, why the whole engine is so big and powerful. And it had to do with how you flip the commission structure on its head to help the average person be great at real estate without having to do the hunting. Help me explain that, because you flipped the entire model upside down.
Yeah. So our model's way harder to execute. Like first and foremost, like this is not easy, still not easy, right? When you are taking full control of a real estate transaction, the consumer experience, it's hard, right? We have we have so many departments that are all dialed in and part of this. And the key component of what you're touching on there is de-risking the entire process for agents, period. So new agents or experienced agents that come in, they don't have any risk because we get by design. Yes, by design. When people call into our brand, we have a team that will set the appointment and we will tell the agent where and when to go. Right. And
so you're taking the hard part out of it.
Finding customers, especially in this environment, is so hard and so expensive. And most people in the world don't want to take that level of risk. Right. There are times where leads are $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, depending on what platform. Like the cost of leads are going up because there are less transactions, right? When there are less transactions, like that's when the costs get, the pressure on costs happen. And so a new agent can come into our model. Like we have the real estate scholarship program, for example, right? Where we pay for them to get their license. They can come in with zero experience, as long as they have some sort of sales background. And within 30 days, they can be up to speed, trained, and in appointments with consumers without having to take any risk.
So how long would it normally take if I was like, all right, I'm going to go into real estate, and like, how would that normally go? If
you went to a traditional brokerage, right now the stats are somewhere between 80 to 90% of new agents are out of the industry in the first 12 months. Gone.
Like
gone, done, no longer in it.
Massive failure.
Massive failure because getting the customer is so hard. Right. And so if they don't have any money, then it goes to the secondary options, which are really horrible, which is cold calling and door knocking your friends and family and bothering them. Hey, do you know anyone that's looking to buy and sell? I just got my license 5 minutes ago, but I think I'll be able to help you real good in one of the toughest markets ever.
Well, that happened to me.
Yes.
That happened to me because my sister had jumped into real estate. And it was like all of a sudden it was assumed that everybody would just, including me, would just start working with her. And I was like, man, I've got all these other relationships with people that have been doing this way long time.
Yes.
Like,
yeah, and you know, like it's anything you do in life, you can make it look easy, right? And so one of the challenges of a model like ours is like when someone comes in and they have their calendars full in 5 minutes, it looks easy, right? It looks so simplified, like, wow, like I just got my license for free through the scholarship program. I came in and now I have 40 appointments in my calendar in the next 30 days. Like it looks like so easy.
yeah.
And so sometimes people that come into our organization take that for granted, right? And they think like, oh, I'll just go out on my own and I'll just fill my calendar with 40 appointments. They have no idea that it took us 20 years of trying to figure this out to do that made all the difference in the world. But really, the most simplified way to explain this to anyone that is listening is it's basically like an all-inclusive resort when you travel. Like everything's handled for you. Like your meals, your drinks, whatever you want, it's covered for you. You know that it's all done. We have an all-inclusive resort in real estate. Everything is taken care of for you. Like everything. You walk in the door, from the moment you get there, you don't have to worry about anything. Nothing. It is
You just
all
go
set
to
up.
appointments.
That's it. And you'll get the training from us. You'll get the mentorship from us. We'll help you grow as long as you're open-minded to it. And then you will level up into a very sophisticated, experienced real estate agent by going through that scholarship program and getting that mentorship.
And so you've probably seen people come in that had no background and they've become superstars.
So many. It's the most amazing success stories to watch of someone that you know, maybe they were at a place where they didn't know what they wanted to do next, but they had this drive, but they were unsure of how to get there. And then they step into a scholarship program like that because that message connected with them. And then 6 months later, you know, all their student loans are paid off, all their debts paid off, and they're debt free
Like
so
you
quickly.
literally changed their life.
It's so fun
So
to
you
watch.
were a real estate agent who now is changing the life of real estate agents.
Which is the most crazy part of the story, which is take back to 8th grade of the coach that impacted my life. And now I'm doing the same work, just in a different way. Like it's so
scale.
crazy at scale. Yes.
Okay, so when criticism is really high of you, because you've had criticism, it's part of being in the public light. How do you deal with that?
I love it. Like I love it. Like I live for it. I live for it. Like
so
I
what
truly
do you do when you get heavy criticism? What do you
So
it doesn't, first of all, it doesn't faze you.
No, it actually energizes me. Like it does.
You're like, well, I'm entertained.
Yes, but when it first started, it was a little tough, right? It was a little tough because you go from like the super likable person, lots of friends, lots of great things going on, to like, you know, you've got a certain percentage of people that are like, you know, he must be doing something wrong. He's going to go out of business. He's a jerk. He's this, he's that. I heard he said this. I heard he did this. I saw him here, there, whatever. There's every story you've ever heard of. And the really like the transitional point for me was working through like a lot of personal development, because I've like invested a lot of time in like leadership and personal development, trying to be the best that I can be. And where it all changed is when I realized like, hey, everyone's opinions and words of you are their business and say more about them than they do about you. And when I made I'm talking like a fundamental shift where when I hear these things, I'm like, gosh, I wonder what went wrong in their life. I wonder like what's going on in their world right now, that they are having a conversation about Kris Lindahl, who they've never met in person, that they heard from 17 other people, like through the telephone game of all of this, that they need to post online or go talk at a restaurant or go have a conversation at whatever office they're at, that they feel the need to talk about someone else and put someone else down like that. There's something going on in their life, which is really what they should be, you know, they should really be looking in the mirror, addressing that more than worrying about what Kris is doing. And so once I made that shift, it changed, because then I had a different level of sympathy and empathy for people that may have had things to say about me, right? And what's interesting about this entire thing is that when you put yourself out there, you're going to get criticism no matter what, but no one ever says it to my face. Never. I've never,
why would they?
I've never had someone come up to me and say anything negatively or poorly to my face. It's all been very complimentary, like, wow, it's unbelievable, the brand that you and your team has built. And like, it's all very high level complimentary stuff. Or, hey, can we take a photo? Can we do this? Can we do that? Hey, will you send a video to my friend? Like all that stuff it's all amazing. Like, so all the noise makers are all sort of behind a keyboard mostly.
It's like trolls on the internet.
That's it. right? And now I think we're entering a world where some of them might even be AI.
Yeah,
right. And
maybe.
so like, I mean, right. I mean, so I worry for the day that goes away, because I think that's when we are no longer relevant and making an impact. Right. So like, I encourage that chatter, and actually like some of that friction's good.
Yeah.
Right. I actually love when people in certain areas say things about us, because it actually opens up curiosity for others to go like, hey, if this many people are talking about that, maybe this is something I should go explore.
Well, and it reminds me of you have a really great story I'd love you to tell about it was you and this guy with the billboards, and it was about sports, and I can't remember the team or where, but you guys had a rivalry and it lit the internet on fire.
Yes.
Tell me that story.
So it was Mattress Mac, he owns Gallery Furniture down in Houston, Texas. He's done a lot of amazing things from what I've read and seen down in the Texas area. And so he's really tied into Houston Astros baseball, has been forever. And the Twins were playing, the Twins had just won a series, and they were playing the Houston Astros. So I came up with a crazy idea at the Twins game that, hey, I'm just going to put out a bunch of billboards and call out Mattress Mac and the Houston Astros.
So you bought them in Houston?
Loaded them, every one of them. I called the billboard company. I said, I want every single billboard that's available in all of Houston. Like I bought them all. Like I bought all of them, and I put up the message. And I wasn't sure what was going to happen. But some of the best things we've ever done are like, hey, let's just take step one and we'll react to whatever step two is. And he did. It was great. He ended up buying billboards in Minnesota then, right? And so we did this friendly banter back and forth, and it was so good. The problem was the Twins were not playing very well. And so I had a weak hand. I would give us the upper hand on the marketing, but the performance from our team was not great. So I was like really starting to spin out of control. I was running out of gas quick, because like, what was I going to say?
You didn't have anything to back you.
So here's what the last billboard that went up before we ended up ultimately losing the series was an unofficial scoreboard of not the series, but the Mattress Mac Kris Lindahl billboard banter back and forth. And I gave him a half a point on one of them because it was kind of weak in my eyes. So I believe that I won the series, and that was the last board that went up.
So you got into a billboard fight with Mattress Mac.
I got into a billboard fight with Mattress Mac, and I've got a photo that I've never posted online. I should post it online, and it's the first game down in Houston. First games were down there. It's Mattress Mac holding his phone up with the news article of my billboard, and he's just laughing. And like, he's just laughing.
Have you ever met him?
No, never met him. No, the last game, if we would have won the last game, I would have flew out there for the final game. And the tough part is the strategy I had for game 7 might have blown up Houston. It was so big because it was not even remotely close to just buying some billboards. I'm talking the craziest strategy ever. It was all ready to go. Everything was dialed in, and our team couldn't perform. And so it was all
Twins
over.
let you down.
Yeah, it was over. It just like that, it was done. And that's how, great PR and news, you find out really quick that you're a few hours away from being old news.
Yeah.
And at that point it was done.
Yeah.
Like it went from like the ultimate high of excitement, like we're having the time of our life, to it's over. No one cares.
I mean, it was fun when it was happening.
It was
wild.
It pushed me beyond anything that I thought was possible, because I was huge. He has a huge brand, I believe a huge marketing company, and we just have a few of us. And so we were going against like
David and Goliath.
We were. And if I look at the last scoreboard, I truly believe we won. So I have to stick to that.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, we didn't win the series, but I feel like we won the Billboard series.
Oh, you did. Yeah. I thought you did. I would like to just ask you, when you look back, when you're an old man and you're fishing, and first of all, I know you're never going to stop, but someday when you think about what do you want to be remembered for, what is that? What do you want to be known for?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think legacy is obviously should be on a lot of people's minds about like, what do they want their life to look like? And I always think about like, if you had a funeral and you were still alive, right? What would the people say that walk up to the front of the room about you?
Yeah.
Right. And so like, it's a question I ask people all the time, like, hey, what would people say about you? Like if you were no longer here? And it's what drives me each and every day. It's like, you hear all the time, people say like, hey, they don't, they remember how you made them feel. Right.
Yeah.
And so that is a big piece for me of like to positively impact everyone and everything I come in contact with and leave it better than I found it. And I think that's super important for me. Right. And so the measurement for me isn't like the number of houses or the number of businesses or brands or any of that stuff. It's truly what people say about how I made them feel. Right. And so the more people that, you know, that someday are standing in front of a room at my funeral and are sharing like this, like, I remember this story about Kris and I remember that. And I remember how he stepped up here. Like that to me is the ultimate measurement of success. And of course it starts with your family and friends, like, right. And the people that are closest to you. I can measure someone's success, like based on my conversation that I have with their friends and family. Like you can tell me all the things you want on the internet about how you're the greatest person in the world. Give me 10 minutes with the people that are closest to you and I'll tell you exactly what's going on in your life.
It's so good. You know, it reminds me of during COVID when we were going through a lot of dark times. And there was Kris calling me on the phone every day. I mean, you didn't miss a day.
Yeah.
You checked in on me every day. And it got me through it. Like you literally talked me through every idea I had. You talked me through every move we made. And it was like, dude, I don't know if I'd have gotten through COVID had I not had your help.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Those were fun times. Like we had some great conversations.
Puts a tear in my eye, dude.
Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, the thing that's so beautiful about friendships like, you know, that we have is like, I was also learning too, right? So like we get to learn together, which is the cool thing, right? Like, yeah, like, I mean, I think the events business was crushed. I mean, real estate was for a moment there too.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we didn't even know it in the early parts of that. Like, are we essential or non-essential? Can we show houses or not?
Yeah.
Right. Like there was a point where houses were shut down from viewing. Right. And so like, it was like, wow, like what's this going to look like? And so having great friends that in your corners, it is critical. Right. So, and we get to learn from each other, which is always fun.
Yeah. Well, you can downplay it, but it literally like saved me. So,
yeah. That's great. Yeah.
This is awesome. This has been really fun. Obviously, this is our very first episode, and I had to have you on because I'm like, geez, if anybody's going to make it kind of easy for me, it'll be you, which you did. So thank you for being here. Come back again.
Yeah, that's great. You did it.
Thanks, Kris.
Yes.
Hey, if you like this episode, make sure you subscribe, share it with somebody you like, and of course, make sure you check out my company, Eide. We produce conferences and events all over the U.S. And if you know of a conference or an event that's looking for the best company in the business, check out eidecom.com.